Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. And it's just wonderful to have alumni back in the chapel. Our recent QMS grads who've just gone through first year of university. And I'll do some introductions in a moment. But I think it's just a wonderful opportunity to hear from that sort of fresh experience of this year that so many of you are looking forward to next year and are anticipating. And at the end, I'm sure you'll have an opportunity for some questions too. But it's I think, hopefully a really useful insight into some of the mindset that you might need going into next year, as well as some advice about some recommendations from these alumni about their experiences this year. So I'm going to introduce them one at a time, but just for now, we have, for those of you, I know we have some new students in the chapel that don't know, we have Maya Cassie on my left with Bronnie Lee, Ethan Picard, and Colton Barnett. So let's give them a really warm welcome. Colton's going to kick things off today. Colton is studying at the University of Calgary, and he's an anthropology arts student and working on his undergraduate requirements for veterinary medicine. Colton, up you come.
Well, first of all, hello, and second of all, it's so strange being on this side of the podium after all these years. First thing I'm going to say is I didn't prepare a speech. I wanted this to be sort of as in person as possible. If you have any questions as I'm speaking, I want you to actually raise your hand, because I want to get through any of your questions right now as possible. Heather did send out an email for us, so I'm going to be speaking to that for the most part, but as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. So as myself, I am an anthropology art student, and I'm taking both arts and sciences to, first of all, for the arts to artificially boost my GPA, because some of the science courses are pretty hard, but I'm taking these science courses so then I can get into the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. In fact, I'm applying in September and hopefully getting in for the 2026-2027 year. One thing I would like to give you guys, the best piece of advice is, it doesn't necessarily matter what you have as an undergraduate. You can take practically anything. So at the University of Calgary, you could be taking a business degree and you could be taking English courses. I've met a bunch of different students who are taking, say, a science course, biology, and they're also taking business courses because for what they want to do as a profession, they feel that a business course may be beneficial towards them. As myself, I am taking biochemistry and organic chemistry and biochemistry next semester. But I'm an art student, and that's okay. The university is more than happy to give that opportunity to the students that are willing to do that. The only thing that I will say to that is you just have to keep in mind on your application times. They're going to be skewed differently because they want to give preferential treatment to the biological undergraduate students or the science undergrad students. But as I said, it doesn't really matter exactly whether you are an art student, an engineering student, an English major. You could be taking first year courses. In fact, there are a few students who I'm friends with who have completed a degree and are coming back to the university and doing another degree. Either that's due to not being able to find a job or change in career paths or whatever the reason is. They can come back and they can pick whatever they'd like, and they're in a bunch of different undergraduates that are not even associated to the classes that they're taking, but they're taking it because they want to. Another thing that I'm going to say is time management. So my first semester at university, I will admit, was very hard. And it was mostly because getting adjusted from the workload at Queen Margaret's to the workload at the university. What I found with the university is that unlike QMS, where you do a lot of sort of smaller projects and one final big project, I find that the workload is weighted more to a bunch of major projects with a couple small tests or quizzes. So for example, I was taking a biological science class, I think it was Bio 241. And what you would end up doing is you'd take a like a lab exam, and basically what you would do is If you scored, say, 9 out of 10 on this exam, then you could participate in the lab. So there's stuff like that that you'll have to keep an eye on, because if you don't do the work required for you to take those labs or take those courses, then you can't. So just to keep that in mind. But another thing is the finals. I know a lot of you have heard that this year you're going to be taking finals. The best advice I can give you is try to find a place that is very quiet and a place that you don't associate with going on your phone or talking with your friends. Find a place where you dedicate that space to work, because that is something that will challenge you in university. I myself, in my first semester, went, why do I need to start studying in the library? I can study at home. And that ultimately led to me getting lower grades, because I kind of got a little bit lazy, because I thought, well, hey, I can put that off. I can make dinner, or I can watch a movie, and then I'll go and study. Well, as you may know, I got lazy, and that affected my grades. But in my next semester, I started studying in the lab, or I started studying in the library, and I made sure to find the quietest spot and a very convenient spot where I could focus and study and shut my phone off and get away from any distractions that were possible. And I walked out with my highest grade in one of my classes being close to 98%. So that's my best advice for anyone, is try and find a place that you don't associate with going on your phone or talking with people or doing things that would distract you from doing your work. So if anything, that is all I have to say. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, even after the chapel. I'm going to be here for about an hour or so. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Colton. Bronnie Lee, a scholarship varsity athlete in a Bachelor of Arts Honours course for Health Studies at Queen's, who attended QMS for 3 years. Please welcome Bronnie.
I went to Queen's. There you go. Queen's is located in Kingston, so it's about 2 hours east from Toronto and 2 hours west from Ottawa. It's right in the middle. I feel like I'm going to take a approach at this where I'm just going to kind of like tell you how I felt about the school and just like what I didn't like and how my year went. So starting off, some highs that I had. I really like being in a new place. I've traveled to Toronto a couple times for hockey specifically. I kind of just knew when I got there when I was little that I'd probably end up there. I liked having personal freedom. When you get to university, you kind of get to a point where you're not with your parents and you just kind of get to do whatever you want to some extent. I liked traveling for my sport. I play varsity hockey for the school, and I was privileged enough to travel across Ontario and Quebec for hockey. Some lows that I had was the courses were hard. So I took arts. I had the option to take science, but I chose not to due to hockey specifically. It's a lot of people at Queen's, it's a lot of students, and with a lot of students it becomes large classes. And when you have large classes, the opportunity to get into the program that you want becomes slimmer. So it's very competitive, and I wasn't really prepared for that sometimes, but I feel like that was just due to my experience personally being with hockey when I was in high school and how much I put into it. And I think the biggest low for me was Ontario weather. If you're not from Ontario, I recommend buying boots. If you don't own boots, like I don't, buy some if you're gonna go there. Now next, talking about course load difference. I know that some of you guys were questioning about the difference between QMS and university. My best way to explain it, QMS is specifically in a very short time frame. You're going to school from 7 to 3. It's kind of like a little box where you get to pick all your little classes in between that time frame, where when you get to university, I had a class that ended at I think 6:30 at night, and then I had another class that started 8:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't have class between then. So it's very diverse with your time schedule, which is nice. You can pick whether you want to have a whole bunch of classes or no classes in one day. So yeah, that was nice for me. With class diversity at Queens, if you're not in a direct entry program, if that means you're in arts or science, you get to pick between the two of them. I took all arts, as I said, so a very popular course that maybe some of you guys want to take is Psych 100. That's a very tough class. I took Psych and Sociology, those were my two main classes, and Health Studies, which I'm majoring in, and unfortunately I didn't take any science like you, Colton. But yeah, super diverse. So if you aren't really sure what you're going to take and you go there for your first year, it's general, so you can pick whatever you want, and you have just kind of like the opportunity to explore maybe some of your interests, but pick within your program. I took 5 courses each semester, so 5 and 5, which is the recommended course load for 4-year graduates. But since I'm in an honors program, I'm taking an automatic 5 years. Same with my hockey signing, I'm signed for 5 years on a contract. With an opportunity to do a 6th year if I choose. When picking your courses, specifically for varsity athletes, you get a early opportunity to do so and compared to other students. But being a student athlete is really hard. I feel like not a lot of people really discuss that when you're going in because they try and glorify the fact that you are one, but specifically the student part of being a student athlete is hard. You're trying to balance being a regular student in a new atmosphere and also trying to balance being a new athlete to a new level of competitiveness, and it's hard. Unfortunately for me, I experienced an injury that took me out of regular season this year, so I didn't really play that much except for an exhibition in the beginning of the year, but still I had to train, travel, and compete with my team, and it was time consuming. So if you're not good at time management, like I was in high school, I'm sure my teachers can back me up on that, get started on time management. It's a really big aspect that you'll have to learn really quickly. With being an athlete, I was on the ice 4 times a week. I trained twice in the high performance training center, and I competed either Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, with Friday being my travel days. And in the OUA specifically, we only travel via bus unless we're going on a tournament somewhere else. Travel days are long, averaging about 5 hours each, specifically with Queens, because we're kind of out of the way compared to Toronto, the city. And if you are going to try and pursue being a varsity athlete, get used to doing homework on the bus. I think I did about 4 of my finals on the bus, which sucks, but you know what? You get used to it at that point. And I feel like for those that are trying to pursue it, I had a lot of anxiety about going there, specifically with how my team would react to me being there. Don't worry about it too much. Every single one of the athletes that are on that team or in the school in general have experienced the exact same issues as you, especially with your first year if you're having a hard time. The school puts you in a really good position to make friends and or try and, put yourself in the team where you just get included, I guess. But my team specifically is very good, especially with me being injured. They treated me as if I was playing, and I feel like a lot of people don't really see that aspect of they really care for you guys. So it's like a little family. Anyways, that's all I really have to say, so thank you.
Thanks, Bronnie. Next, I'm going to ask Ethan Picard to come up. Ethan attended QMS for 14 years and is currently enrolled at the University of Calgary, and he is studying kinesiology. Please welcome Ethan.
Good morning, everyone. So for my advice for university, the biggest thing I found is a work-life balance. One of the biggest pieces of advice is to find a balance between your social life and academic responsibilities. It's really easy to fall into kind of extremes on one side or the other side. So the biggest thing is isolating yourself to study and spending time with your friends, kind of a mix of both. Yes, you should absolutely spend time with your friends. It keeps you grounded and helps preventing burnout, which is very common in university. Yet that assignment that is due at 8 a.m., you need to get that done. Even if it means really staying inside and not hanging out with your friends that one night out, you're not missing anything that one time. There's always more events like BSD, St. Patrick's Day, big fun events. Just stay in that one time. University experience. Going into your first year, participate in all the Welcome Week events. This is where you meet people and people that you'll see in the gym, you'll see down the hall, just a quick friendly face. But remember, 50% of these people you'll never see again. Especially at the bigger universities like Queen's and Western, and even at UVic, you'll still find that. Is you'll meet these kids, great people, you click with them, and you don't get that Snapchat or phone number, you'll never see them again. Course load. So let's talk about course load. QMS did a solid job of preparing me for writing and time management skills, but university is on another level, especially in your first semester where they're just trying to poke you and pry you and take you apart. For me, the first term was honestly really hard, like everyone said. You're not just adjusting to new classes, you're adjusting to living away from home, managing your time, and finding out how to study in university, which is a very key thing and different from high school. At QMS, teachers guide you and assist you a lot. In university, profs don't hand you out study guides, most of the time at least. There's some classes they do. Or big review practice tests or anything like that. You have to create your own. This is where chat helps a lot because you can put all your information into chat and make practice tests so you don't have to do it by hand. So utilize tools that you have on the internet. And biggest thing is finding out how you learn too. So in high school, you learn by just redoing. You don't have that time to do that, to spend all your time reviewing all the course material. So you gotta pick and choose how you're gonna study efficiently. Diversity of my program. So studying kinesiology at UC has been awesome. I recommend it. It's been a really diverse program with mix of science, anatomy, mental health, rehabilitation-based learning, and sociology. You meet people from different provinces and background, which broadens your perspective on Canada and life. One of the most memorable experiences that makes my program unique is when I came to school in the first week, I unzipped a cadaver bag in my anatomy lab, which is a dead body donated for science. That's right, a real human body. Was wild, but also fascinating. You could tell instantly who was going to stay for the long haul in that degree or who was going to switch out, go to business school or something else, pre-med kids. Throughout the whole year, you respectfully use those donors to apply your knowledge and apply your knowledge from class, lecture material into a lab setting, which is really kind of helps you concrete your understanding of concepts. That experience and many others showed me how hands-on immersive university can be, especially in a program like kinesiology, which is very hands-on oriented. It's not just lectures and notes, it's real-world exposure from day one. Okay, living with a roommate. I lived in a traditional dorm room where it's bed, and you can reach out and high-five each other across the room. Fun times. You get to know your roommate very well. Luckily, my roommate was very clean, and his side of the room was always perfect, and my side was less than perfect, but I kept it clean. Some of my friends weren't so lucky. They were in messy roommates, and you quickly learn that there's no right way to live. Everyone does it differently, and you kind of expect the same thing, but everyone just works differently. So you kind of got to talk early and create expectations to be flexible and understand that sharing a space with someone who might live very different. What caught me off guard? One thing that caught me off guard was how different BC curriculum, biology curriculum is from Alberta's. So in my classes, there are a lot of Alberta students that were reviewing content that they've already learned in high school while I was seeing it for the first time for the first several weeks. I felt like I was always playing catch up rather than staying ahead, and it was frustrating. This taught me to quickly adapt, ask questions, and lean into resources like office hours, study groups, and online tutorials. Your first year out of QMS is going to be challenging in ways you don't expect. And it's not just the academics, it's the life, the new exposure, but it's all fun, and it's really good, and I enjoyed a lot of it. So thank you.
Thanks, Ethan. Next up is Maya Cassie. Maya started attending QMS in grade 7. She's now studying social sciences at the University of Toronto in Victoria College, majoring in sociology with minors in political science and women and gender studies. Please welcome Maya.
Hi guys, this is really strange. So yeah, I'm Maya. Before I get into really concrete advice, I just want to start off by saying I kind of found it hard to come up with advice because I'm such an optimist about university that I really think you guys are just going to go and have a wonderful time. And so I want to start off by just saying there's no secret information you need to know beforehand, secret preparation you need to be doing. Really, you just need to be going there and being curious and open to your world, expanding and complexifying and changing, and you'll have a good time, and that's really all you need. But I know you would appreciate some more tangible advice, so I'm just gonna list some things off. Hopefully some of it is helpful. Look through your QMS Microsoft account and download stuff. I really thought I would never need anything from high school ever again, and I didn't download anything, and now my email is gone, and I can't see any of that. So download some stuff when you graduate. Calculate your meal swipes. If you have a dining hall pass that you swipe into, literally everyone I know at the end of the year either had way too many swipes and had wasted money or ran out too early. I spent an amount of money I would not admit in front of an audience buying more meal passes. It was bad. So calculate literally how each week how many times you should be swiping into the dining hall to make the most of the money you spend. Be really intentional about maintaining hobbies and passions that are important to you. You're not going to have free time in the same way you do in high school, so it's not going to kind of just come naturally to pursue your hobbies. So join intramurals, schedule time into your day for making art, whatever it is that you do. Make sure that you're being strategic and intentional about having that in your life, because it can disappear really easily if you're not putting the work into having your interests outside of your degree. Obviously, try to not skip lectures. You hear that all the time, but also try to engage with lectures in a way that's actually helpful. It's really easy to kind of go through the motions and get into this mindset of I'm not going to actually need to know this specific information in a few years, which could very well be true. But what first year courses especially can really do for you is illuminate your own interests and your individual trajectory of what you might want to study more. I try to keep a little notes app page of research interests where if in lecture we talk about a reading and there's a methodology that I thought was really interesting, I'll write that down as something I might want to do someday. So I would say really utilize your first year courses especially as a way, not just for learning the information they're telling you, but understanding your own interests more, so that by the end of first year you're okay, I know what courses I want to take next year, I have a better understanding of where I want to go, because that's a lot of what first year's about. As far as some QMS university differences, as everyone's been touching on, being in a big university in a big city, I was at U of T, is really amazing. I would really recommend it for the breadth of opportunities, both academically and socially, that you're getting, especially social ones. I think you're really able to find your people in university in a way that might not be possible in a high school with a 60-person graduating class. There's a lot more people. But I would recommend, if you're going to a big university like that, find ways that you can have a smaller community, whether that's if you're in a department like kin or engineering, those kind of have their own camaraderie, or U of T, we have colleges, those kind of have their own little community, or making sure you're in some smaller classes, just finding ways to have smaller communities within a really big university, if that's where you end up. I wouldn't panic about your grades changing. I was really scared of that. When people estimate that your grades drop 10 to 15%, I think that's pretty accurate. I think my grades dropped at most 20% and at least nothing. If you got A's in QMS, I think you'll get A's in university. It's not something to be super, super afraid of. Though the work you're doing is super, super different, as everyone's been touching on. It's a lot of readings and essays and exams, especially readings if you're in humanities or social science. I would say that's probably the biggest learning curve coming into first year university, is being able to get through a lot of pages of dense, difficult theory and research papers. And it's a skill you develop, but I would say each first year course might be giving you anywhere from 10 pages to 70 pages of reading every week, which if it sounds scary, you'll adapt. If it sounds really, really scary, like maybe get into some nonfiction reading over the summer. But it's something you'll adapt to. Like overall, that's the trend I found, is that the work you're doing is extremely different, but surprisingly doable and something you can adapt to. Especially exams was something that really scared me because I didn't really have exams at QMS. But you carry over the skills you learned in high school as far as like discipline and work ethic. So if you have those, like you'll be okay. And if you don't have those, you'll also be okay. It'll work out. So yeah, I hope some of that was helpful. If you want to talk to me individually, I'll be around. As far as like things you can talk to me about. So yeah, I'm at U of T studying sociology, political science, women and gender studies. I was a research assistant during the school year, so I can talk about like doing research and also working during the school year. I was in residence, I can talk about that. And I'm on a full ride scholarship, so I can talk about like scholarships, finance. But yeah, have the best time in the fall. It's a really exciting time, and I'm really excited for you guys. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Maya. And to all our uni students and alum who've come to share their experiences, like what a rich, diverse array of experiences and advice as well. I think before I say anything else, or before we stop, I think I might just open it up and see if any of you have any questions for any of the QMS grads who are up front today. So have a think. There might be something that one of them said that resonated that you want to find out a little bit more about. So I'll open it up to start with, and then we'll see where we go from there. Yeah, Alex.
Maya, what residence are you in?
I'm in Lower Burwash.
It's old. How's the living situation?
There's no elevator and no AC. In August, you'll be sad with that, and then after that, it'll be cool. You'll get really good at doing stairs. I thought it was really pretty. Like, I liked being in the old. Yeah, I can give you like an in-depth rundown of all the residences if you want it. Yeah.
Sweet, thank you.
I know it's kind of
Anyone else? Any other questions? Don't be shy. It's a great opportunity. They're going to be around today, so you can feel free to approach, ask anything else that you like. But really we're good for now. No other questions right now? Okay. So it sounds like a really challenging transition, but it's one that I think you should be open-minded to enjoying and trying to get as much as you can out of. Hopefully you saw and you picked up on some of the common ground and overlapping experiences, as well as that sort of the differences between the speakers this morning and in what it was like for them. I was chatting with Colton at the start, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, Colton, but I think it's like have your approach. I think it's that piece of you really make that experience what you want it to be, and I think I would say there's at university, in my experience as well, a little less social pressure that you perhaps get when you're in high school. So you don't need to be going out and partying just because other people are. Do what works for you. Get that balance for you that fits as well. And so, I think that'll probably help you with your time management as well. But yeah, I just think there is going to be a real diversity of experience for each of you. And I just want to thank again our alumni who come back today. We've got some gifts in here. So I'm not sure whether there's any differential in the gifts for those who are in Alberta versus those who are out further east. But if you could join me, round of applause, please, for Ronnie. Maya Cassie. Colton Barnett. And Ethan Picard. Excellent. That's it, everyone. Thanks for coming. Feel free to filter out in your own time. And if you want to linger for a few minutes and have an individual conversation or ask any questions that you didn't want to earlier, please do. Have a great day, everyone.